The day they replaced him, nobody said goodbye. After 15 years of loyal service, the single dad walked out of the company carrying one small cardboard box. Inside were a few family photos, an old coffee mug, and a handwritten note from his daughter. The executives believed they had finally found people better than him. What they didn't know was that the new expert sitting proudly in his old office had learned almost everything they knew from the very man they had just replaced. And when the biggest crisis in the company's history arrived, everyone would discover the truth. Before we continue, if you enjoy emotional stories about kindness, courage, and second chances, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories like this one. Daniel Carter was 42 years old and had spent almost half his life working for a technology company called North Star Solutions. He wasn't the CEO. He wasn't a famous executive. He didn't have a fancy office or a large salary. Daniel worked in the company's technical operations department, where he quietly solved problems that most people never even noticed. When the computer systems stopped working, Daniel was there. When a new employee couldn't understand the complicated software, Daniel stayed late to teach them. When a young worker made a mistake, Daniel didn't embarrass them. He simply smiled and said, "Don't worry. I made the same mistake once. Let me show you what I learned." Daniel was also a single father. His daughter, Lily, was 12 years old, and raising her alone wasn't easy. Every morning, Daniel prepared her breakfast before work. Every evening, he helped her with homework. Some nights, he was exhausted, but he never let Lily feel like she was a burden. He always told her, "You're the most important part of my life." Lily knew her father worked hard. She also knew that sometimes he came home tired and worried about money. But Daniel never complained. He believed that kindness cost nothing, even when life was difficult. For years, Daniel helped North Star Solutions grow. He trained new employees. He created systems that saved the company thousands of hours. He even helped several young workers become skilled professionals. Two of those workers were Marcus and Emily. When Marcus first joined the company, he was 23 and knew almost nothing about the complex systems. He was nervous and made mistakes every day. One afternoon, after Marcus accidentally caused a major system delay, he expected to be fired. Instead, Daniel sat beside him. "Everyone makes mistakes," Daniel said. "The important thing is learning how to fix them." For the next 3 hours, Daniel patiently taught Marcus everything he needed to know. Emily had a similar story. She was a brilliant young engineer, but she lacked confidence. Whenever she had to speak during meetings, her voice became quiet. Daniel noticed. One day, he told her, "Emily, you know more than you think. Don't be afraid to let people hear your ideas." Those words changed her life. Slowly, Emily became confident. Years later, Marcus and Emily became two of the company's most successful employees. And Daniel was proud of them. Then, one Monday morning, everything changed. North Star Solutions had a new CEO. The new CEO wanted to make the company look more modern. He brought in expensive consultants and decided that older employees were too slow and too expensive. Daniel was called into a meeting. There were 3 executives sitting across from him. One of them avoided looking into his eyes. "Daniel," the CEO said, "we're restructuring the department." Daniel immediately understood. "We're replacing your position with a new team of specialists." Daniel sat quietly. After 15 years, his entire career had been reduced to a few sentences. "Who are the specialists?" he asked. The CEO smiled. "Marcus and Emily will lead the new team." Daniel's heart sank. He had trained them. He had helped them when they were young and inexperienced. Now they were replacing him. Daniel looked at them through the glass wall. Marcus and Emily were standing outside. They looked uncomfortable. Daniel could have been angry. He could have told everyone exactly how much he had done for the company. But he didn't. He simply packed his belongings into a cardboard box. Before leaving, Daniel walked past Marcus and Emily. Take care of the team, he said. Marcus looked down. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Daniel, I'm sorry, she whispered. Daniel gave her a gentle smile. Don't be sorry for succeeding. Then he walked away. That evening, Daniel arrived home earlier than usual. Lily immediately noticed. Dad, why are you home? Daniel put his box on the table. I don't work there anymore. Lily stared at him. For a moment, she didn't say anything. Then she hugged her father tightly. Daniel held her close. He had no idea what would happen next. But he knew one thing. He would never allow his daughter to see him give up. Weeks passed. Daniel struggled to find another job. Companies wanted younger workers. Some offered salaries too low to support Lily. Others told him he was overqualified. Meanwhile, North Star Solutions appeared to be doing better than ever. The new experts were praised by the CEO. Marcus and Emily received promotions. But behind closed doors, they were struggling. The systems Daniel had built were more complicated than they realized. They called Daniel several times. He always answered. Even though he no longer worked there, he helped them. Try checking the backup system, he would say. Or, remember what I taught you about the emergency protocol. He never demanded money. He never reminded them that they had replaced him. He simply helped. Then, one Friday morning, disaster struck. A major system failure brought North Star Solutions to a complete stop. Thousands of customers were affected. The company's most important data systems were locked. The new experts tried everything. Nothing worked. The CEO became furious. Fix it, he shouted. Marcus and Emily worked for hours. But they couldn't solve the problem. Finally, Emily looked at Marcus. We need Daniel. Marcus nodded. They called him. Daniel answered while sitting at his kitchen table. He had been reviewing job applications. Daniel, Marcus said, his voice shaking, we need your help. Daniel was silent for a moment. He could have said no. He could have reminded them how they treated him. Instead, he asked one question. How many people could lose their jobs if this isn't fixed? Marcus looked at Emily. Almost everyone. Daniel stood up. I'll be there. He arrived at North Star Solutions 20 minutes later. The employees stared at him. The man they had replaced was now walking back into the building as their only hope. Daniel sat down at the computer. For 6 hours, he worked. Marcus and Emily stood beside him. Daniel didn't push them away. He taught them. Look here. Check this connection. Remember, never panic when the system fails. Follow the process. Slowly, the system came back to life. One screen turned green. Then another. Finally, everything was restored. The entire office erupted in applause. The CEO walked toward Daniel. For the first time, he looked ashamed. I made a mistake, he said quietly. Daniel looked at him. Yes, you did. The CEO expected anger. But Daniel continued. People aren't machines. You can't replace someone just because you think someone else looks better on paper. The room became silent. Then Marcus stepped forward. He's right. Emily nodded. Everything we know, we learned from Daniel. The CEO looked surprised. Marcus continued. He trained us. He gave us confidence. He helped us become the people we are. Emily wiped away a tear. And even after we took his job, he still helped us. Daniel looked at them. You were never my enemies, he said. I was proud of you from the beginning. That moment changed everything. The company offered Daniel his old position back. But Daniel politely declined. Instead, he suggested something different. He wanted to create a training department where experienced workers could teach younger employees. The CEO agreed. Daniel became the head of the new department. And Marcus and Emily volunteered to help him. Years later, the program became one of Northstar Solutions' greatest successes. Hundreds of employees learned from people who had once been overlooked. And Daniel finally received something more valuable than a promotion. He received respect. At home, Lily watched her father receive an award for his work. She smiled proudly. After the ceremony, she hugged him. "I'm glad they didn't replace you forever." Daniel smiled. "They didn't replace me, Lily. They just helped me discover where I was truly needed." Sometimes, life doesn't reward kindness immediately. Sometimes, the people you help may forget your name. Sometimes, you may even feel invisible. But kindness is never wasted. The lessons you teach, the hands you hold, and the chances you give someone can change a life in ways you'll never see. Daniel could have walked away bitter. Instead, he chose kindness. And in the end, the people who once replaced him became the very people who helped the world recognize his true value. So remember, you never know who is watching when you choose to be kind. A simple act of patience today might become someone's strength tomorrow. A few encouraging words might give someone the courage to keep going. And the person you help today may one day become the person who helps someone else. Because true kindness doesn't disappear. It travels from one heart to another, quietly changing lives along the way.